Hi everyone, welcome to Family Forge. I'm Clara and this is my dad Ned. And I'm very excited because this is the day I blacksmith for the first time. So we're going to be starting with forging nails. This is what my dad started off with when he worked at Sturbridge Village. So why is this a good project to start off with?
Well, nails are a nice simple project that involves really what's at the heart of blacksmithing is drawing out a point, and the material for nails, 1/4 inch square, is a nice light material. It heats up quickly, and then being able to draw a point out on the stock is really good practice. The nail head involves compressing the stock, which is called upsetting it. So to balloon out the material for the head and try to create like 4 facets for like a rose head nail like this just gives some practice in hammer control. You get to struggle trying to draw a point out on when you've never done it before.
Yeah. I'm sure it's harder than it looks. I mean,
yeah, anybody that's good at something can make it look easy.
Yes.
and when you try it for the first time, it's a little awkward, but there's no hurry. The stock heats up quickly. You can reheat and try, and it doesn't matter how many times you have to heat it. You got to start somewhere.
Okay, yeah, so we're starting here and let's get started.
I'll just demonstrate it first. So I'm going to get the hand crank going. You want to maximize the length of time that the metal is staying hot, and you want to also maximize the speed at which you're moving the metal. If I was to put that down flat on the anvil and hammer it between the flat face of the hammer, I'd be cooling it off quickly and I'd run out of heat. Then I wouldn't be moving it as fast as if the hammer blow is pinching a smaller amount of the metal and the face of the hammer is rounder. It's having more, it's displacing the metal faster, and when you're forging a point, you're also trying to forge it symmetrically, and if you have just the point touching the anvil, and if you hold the end of your rod right at the edge of the anvil, if you were back in the middle, you might hit the anvil instead of the metal, but if you're out at the edge, the hammer can overhang the edge of the anvil, and every blow is going to hit. So I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to hit it 1/4 turn left and right down to a point. Back up a little bit and do it again a little farther back. And you can even go out on the horn of the anvil, and you're kind of going between 2 round surfaces, and it's kind of squashing it from both sides and stretching it out. Now that it's kind of cooled off, I'm going to warm it up again and do a little bit better, fine-tune it. You can kind of sharpen up that shoulder with the heel, the flat side of the hammer. Now you got a sharper corner, and try to line that up with the edge of the anvil. When you're drawing it out, it doesn't matter that it's perfectly flat. You're moving it faster when you're crushing it between 2 round surfaces. It's stretching it out much faster than crushing between 2 flat surfaces. So then you'll have a big dent in both sides, another dent the other dimension, and back and forth, and then smooth it with the flat face. And Then test it with your nail header. That's pretty good. It goes all the way up, comes to a stop more or less where my shoulder is there. And now I'm going to leave a space for the head and cut it off. Doesn't really take very long to heat it up. So now I'm going to take that out. I kind of guesstimate maybe a 1/4 inch in, hit it, roll it, a 1/4 turn, hit it, 1/4 turn more, and that way you can cut a groove into it all the way around. And you can, if I needed to fine tune it a little bit more, it's still not too late. Stick it into your nail header, break it off, and try to get 4 facets onto it. That's a pretty good looking nail. Of course, it takes practice. If you just keep doing nails over and over again, it's good practice for your wrist movement, left, right, 1/4 turn, 1/4 turn. Now this one is cooled off enough to pick up. It's still a little hot, but that's another thing to watch out for, is that getting burned by something that looks cold but isn't. It's obvious when something's red hot that you're not going to touch it, but when you set something aside, you sometimes can forget that it's hot. You go to grab it, and that's when you really get burned. This one's now cooled down enough to maybe make a few little fine-tuned adjustments. Or you can even adjust the head a little bit. If you need to twist the head around a little bit, you can knock it one way or the other. But if you're making like handmade hinges or door latches, then having handmade nails to go with it is kind of a nice touch.
I guess while that's heating, maybe I'll just take another piece and just...
Yeah, kind of practice hold a little bit. Yeah, and you can choke up on it as much as you want to make it feel comfortable.
Ask, yeah, that feels like
and then
so yeah, and
then you can maybe try to keep it back a little bit, like a little short of the, like that.
Yeah, it does take a little bit getting used to turn it like as much as needs to be turned without
without overturning it. Of course, when it's hot, it'll be easier too, because it's soft. It's not jarring your hand so much. When it's cold, it's going to be jarring your hand more.
Just take a peek.
You can crank it a little bit if you want to, just to feel with that clockwise. Yeah.
Does that look good?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Oh, nice.
So it's
just flatten it out a little bit before I put it back in.
Sure, straighten it out so that it's...
Yeah, okay.
So you might have been back from the point a little bit more than... maybe if your wrist was a little higher, and if it was tipped down a little bit more, and when working on that point a little bit
get
more
off, get the hammer like half on, half off.
Yeah, and although with the rounded face, you're not going to probably be hitting that when you're anywhere near it. I wouldn't get too close to the edge. If it might be easier to stay back a little bit. So it's probably hot enough again. Could be hotter, but I'm really just practicing here. Exactly. So. Yeah, those blows are better at the point there. Yep. Exactly.
Nope.
And you can stop and straighten it out again if you.
Yeah, I can definitely see that
it takes practice.
And
when it's hot hotter, it is easier, and now it's a little hotter than before, so it should be a little easier. And you can hit twice on one side if you want to.
Yeah, kind of.
It's good to have a rhythm going too, though.
Okay, straighten that thing out.
Something's burning in there, but it's probably not you, but it could be. That's good.
Yeah,
it's still almost burning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we'll go back to that point again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
See, it's softer.
Yeah.
And keep focusing on that point. Can worry about the rest of it later. If you over flatten one side, you can
spend some more time on the
start with the side that's, if it's rectangle instead of square at the end, then try to go back to keeping it square. That's probably enough. But now that the point's so fine, see, that was starting to burn.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, that's right. Just kind of.
More of a point, at least.
Yeah, I forgot to wear my safety glasses, so my reading glasses, so I can't see what you're doing very well. But you might have enough of a point.
Yeah, I think the point looks pretty good.
So at first you're up at more of an angle, focusing on that point, and then as you work backwards, you're kind of lowering down a little bit and working your way back from the point. So I'd go back into here and then back a little farther, and with the round face hammer you can stay away from, you can work your way back without getting it too long, otherwise you're just making the, you can blow it off. That's blow it or brush it. The part that's going to heat up and burn the quickest is going to be the point, so if you stick that down too much, sometimes you could even bring the point over into the cooler area if you want to try to be sure you're away from the hottest part of the fire. If you were forge welding it, you'd be kind of wanting it up to where it was almost burning.
Well, now I've seen the sparks anyway. Looks like.
If you were really burning, it looked more like a 4th of July sparkler.
Yeah. Yeah, and I definitely feel like I can do, once I get the hang of it, do harder blows, but you don't want to
you can get it. Yeah. So go back from the point now into that hot area, and that's perfect. If you wanted to, you can try heating it up and doing it over the horn to get that thinned down that spot, but you can see that really just that left-right stretching it out thing is the thing to just get comfortable with. That way when the round face of the hammer meets the round horn there, you can squash it down and stay away. It's easier to stay away from the square part that you want to save for the head. So maybe go closer to the point again, kind of try to work that part of the nail down a little more. Because you're going to probably have to neck that down even more. You can test the, let's see, the nail header is here. You can see that I can give you that to hold in one hand. You can see how far it gonna have to thin it down more to get that to go in.
Okay, yeah, it's good to have the visual of how much it needs to
go down. I remember how much time it took to do the simplest things when I have to heat it over and over again, trying to, and then slowly it just gets easier and easier.
No, this is good, like, because you don't really see people doing it for the first time, so you don't really know
where
how you know, you want to get to see people actually learning it. So
it's important to focus on that kind of just back from the point now where it's thicker. Where's my piece of chalk? That you know, if we want to stay away from that part and we'll kind of work this part down a little bit more.
So I need to get a little bit squarer, but and okay.
And I haven't talked about what happens when you start to go, it starts to turn into a diamond on you instead of square. There are ways to fix that. So still keep right up there. Yeah, it's good. And you can hit 3 or 4. Yeah,
because since I'm hitting so lightly.
Yeah, that it's not.
It's not as.
You're not going to do the wrong kind of damage. That was part of what I did too, is that you end up hitting lightly because you don't want to lose control of it, and if you.
Okay, it's getting further up there.
And is it turning into a diamond, or is it staying square? You know, as far as the.
I mean, it's not like totally square.
I should go get my glasses so that I can look at it. Yeah, it does look like it's going diamond on you a little bit, and that's part of the problem. So I think you got the right idea though. Is that,
trying to like look at figure out where to hit.
Yeah, it's going farther.
It does get a little bit more diamondy where it's stopping.
Yeah, so. Do you mind if I take your nail and straighten out the diamond part a little bit and show you how to do that?
It is starting to get, now that I'm heating it so much, it is starting to get a little bit hotter.
The heat's traveling.
I mean, it's still fine, but.
If it does kind of turn into a diamond on you which is easy to do, you basically have to kind of squash, you know, put it on edge and hammer it that way and squash it back into centered again, which kind of let's see. So as you turn it with that diamond the long way up and try to drive it down a little bit to kind of center the mass on and then reshape and then you can go back to squaring it off again. Then it should fit better because it's now it's going up a little farther.
Okay.
That looks good. Yeah,
it's like right there.
Yeah.
And then trying to
and then
getting off. It's getting a little off centered, so just.
But there's. Try the nail header again. See if that might be enough. You think that might be enough because it's going to drive itself down in there.
Yeah, it's true.
But the fact that it isn't, I think I might want to try to cut it, but give yourself a little bit extra because it's going to some of that's going to go down into the hole in the process, so I think I'd probably cut it around there, and that. So we'll put the hardy in, and can you see any?
I think it's somewhere around there.
Make sure it
goes in the
go
same.
back to your first,
Okay.
and then roll. Yeah. Okay. And now, yeah.
Okay, that looks pretty good.
Looks like it might break off now. Now we'll take off the hardy and get that out of the way.
Okay, this here, this here.
Stick it in. Break it off. Yeah, set it down.
And let's see, I know it's a little bit.
Yeah, that's right.
I know that heat goes so quick.
Yeah. You can kind of use whatever you need to manipulate it to where you can grab it, and then just straighten it, and then we'll stick it back in the fire. So I'm going to stick it in the nail header for you, and then now if I think maybe we'll just have to take it out and do that again, where we just straighten it a little bit. There's a little part of the problem is that we ended up with a little too much for the nail head. Now
That's better.
I don't know if you want to heat it one more time.
One more heat, I'll try to get some better sort of facet.
At least now you can.
Now it at least has a good.
Now if you hit it straight down one more, a few, get it a little thinner, but you can see that it's fattened right up now, and now you're.
Now it's not going to go crazy off center.
Now it's not going to fold over on you.
Do you think that's flat enough? I know now I've lost the heat, but next heat just do the start on the
and then shove that down and see if and then I can grab it.
Well, I don't think it's going to look terrible for my first nail. Probably better than I was expecting.
Yeah, it's that last blow, that last two heats, once you got it centered and driven down and ballooned out, that was the important thing to accomplish.
At least it's not way off center. That seems like it'd be
that's going to end up being more centered than the first two I did. To kind of know where the face of the hammer is, even when it's kind of like backing into a parking space without a, you get a feel for it after a while where the car is, even though you can't quite see the corners. And it's the same way with kind of knowing where the hammer is in your, just by feel. Okay, that's not as hot as it could or should be, maybe, but
give it a try. Oh, got a little.
Yeah. Part of it is that it didn't go into the same spot. Yeah.
There we go.
There you go. If it won't damage. You can also fix the point if you
and this
after
nail's
the
not
fact.
Going anywhere.
Yeah.
So.
I didn't get that quite hot enough for you on that last one, or get it oriented back into the same spot, and just try to drive it right into that corner, and then drive it right into that corner.
Oh,
and drive it right into that corner.
Maybe I was maybe I was going for the
flat these
sides, yeah.
Mirror these flats, and I'm going right onto the ridge.
Okay.
And trying to
yeah, that seems easier. Yeah.
To get each, just sort of drive it right into the ridge on.
Yeah. Okay.
Into the,
got it.
Okay, you ready again? I wonder if I should try it this way. Okay, flatten it first. Okay, now right into that corner. Yeah, and into that corner. And into that corner.
Okay, this makes more sense. I'm getting there. At least those look like, there's some extra little dents in there, but
yeah, and I don't know whether you want to just try one more time.
Yeah, one more time, and then
call it
good. Because it's a nail.
Actually, it's a nice big head, which is hard to do because you've swelled it out from.
Yeah, at least it's very centered.
Yeah. I don't remember how I did it. I'm going to tilt it that way. And still hit the center first just to, okay, it's down now. 1, 2, yeah, hit that.
That's pretty good.
And it doesn't matter if it's a little cold too, because it's still, now you have a square in the middle.
Yeah, you can, and that looks like a pretty good.
Yeah, and it's not even stuck. Okay.
Okay, I'm happy with that.
So you can cool it off in some water, and if you don't want to wait for it to cool, but.
Well, I'm very happy with that. It actually looks way better than I thought it would do for my first nail, and yeah, I had a lot of fun doing it too. Like I was slightly like I've spent all this time getting this channel going and everything, and like what if I hate blacksmithing, but it was I really enjoyed that, and it will only get more fun.
Yeah, it's a struggle at first, and you're kind of trying to feel your way through it, and you don't know what you're doing, and you don't know if what you're doing is right or wrong. And when you know what you're doing is right, and when you quickly recognize if you do something wrong, if you recognize what you did wrong and quickly can correct for it, it just gets more and more fun as it gets easier and easier.
But yeah, I really enjoyed that, and
yeah, it came out pretty well in the end. It just took a lot of struggle to get there.
I don't know how many heats that was.
Yeah.
It was a lot of heats, but at least the end product looks pretty good.
And next one it'll be a lot less heats, and it's more satisfying to get it accomplished than to give up and throw it away or burn it up. Or,
now I can
at least
place this on my shelf, say this was my first project. I made this nail. I mean,
I don't have my first nail, so
I'm saving this thing.
Right.
This video ended up being a bit longer than I want a typical video to be, but I think it's important to show what the first time blacksmithing actually looks like. I didn't want to cut out too much, so you get an authentic picture. I found watching the footage back super helpful in understanding what I was doing and what I should be doing. The close-up side angle is nice because I feel like I can see what's going on better than with my overhead perspective while hammering. I'm gonna practice more nails before our next video, so hopefully you'll see the improvement. Until then, I'd love it if you like this video, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.